What do you think of Bitcoin? You and I have never spoken about this subject before, and I'm very interested to get your thoughts about why the price has climbed up to $50,000.
It's climbed because there's a tremendous amount of speculation and a herd of speculators bidding on Bitcoin. That's why it's going up. So its market price, its market value is what it is. You know, it's about 49,000, almost 50,000 today per Bitcoin. But then there's another issue, and that is, well, what's the fundamental value of Bitcoin? And the fundamental value is zero. And people say, how can you say that? The price is almost 50,000. It was up to almost 60,000, an all-time high. How can you say the fundamental value is zero? And the fundamental value is zero. And the easiest way to get that under your hat is to think in terms of the flow of income generated by Bitcoin, and the flow is zero. It's not like money. Money broadly defined, most fiat monies broadly defined, have a fundamental value because they pay interest. If you look at the 14 components of M4, that's the broadest money measure in the United States, 10 of those components, for example, like Treasury bills, that's a component of broad money. Treasury bills pay interest. Well, Bitcoin doesn't pay interest. That's why you can say unambiguously that it has a fundamental value of zero. It pays no interest. The value in the market is the value what the market participants are putting on it. They're just two different things. It's obviously a highly speculative thing. It's very volatile, and that gets into the fact that it is not a currency because it is not a stable unit of account. To be a currency, you have to have a pretty stable unit of account, a yardstick that is shall we say constant. That would be the ideal kind of thing that isn't changing around.
Okay.
So as a result of that, David, it's not used in transactions. Plus, it's very costly to use Bitcoin in transactions. It's not used as a pricing or invoicing unit of account because it's too unstable. Nothing is priced in Bitcoin, and it's not all used as a unit for calculating deferred payments. You don't have mortgages that are made out in Bitcoin. You'd have to be insane to sign a mortgage that was denominated in Bitcoin. So it's the unit of account thing that actually is the real clincher on the thing, and the reason why something like, for example, the US dollar is the international unit of account for almost all commodities and many manufacturing items, even manufacturing items manufactured in Europe. What are a lot of them priced in and invoiced in? US dollars, not euros, not pound sterling. The same with the Japanese yen. The Japanese produce a lot of manufactured goods. A lot of those are actually priced in US dollars. They're not priced in yen. Speculative asset that isn't used for much of anything is not unreliable store of value, not used in transactions. It is used in a lot of illegal activities because they say it's hard to trace and it's anonymous. It's actually could be traced a lot more effectively than people actually think.
Sure.
But the bottom line is I'm not speculating in it. If you want a speculation in something highly volatile, or you want to make some kind of bet that you have some insight as to where things are going and you think it's going up,
right,
you buy. I think the fundamental value is zero, and I think there will be competitors in there that are much superior, and that ultimately this is going to go into a death spiral, and Bitcoin will, its value will eventually approach its fundamental value.
Why would people all of a sudden come to the realization that its value is zero? How are you going to convince the crypto community that's heavily invested into this asset that everyone's wrong? And
because there'll be very serious reliable cryptos ultimately that are put into the market, and it will be the competitive currency market that determines ultimately the value of this speculative asset. And I think there's a pretty good chance that it'll go down to close to zero.
Okay, so let's talk about this new crypto, ideal crypto, in just a bit. But one final question about Bitcoin. People have been comparing Bitcoin to gold, and we know that gold, like most commodities, follow cycles up and down, up and down. Do you think Bitcoin is currently in the super cycle of bullish action?
I have no clue. I mean, it's not in the same to compare it to gold is a joke, actually. Gold's been around for thousands of years. The golden constant is that over the long run, you can purchase a constant and consistent bundle of goods and services with gold. Today, the same basket that you could with an ounce of gold 100 years ago, and that'll probably be the same going 100 years going forward. So gold is a currency, by the way. Bitcoin is not. So you're comparing apples and oranges here, David. And these crypto fanatics, I would say, they're not analytical. They might be making lots of money. I'm not arguing about that. That's not the point. The point is that Bitcoin is not a currency, and you can't compare it to gold, and gold is a currency.
Okay.
It doesn't exist. There have been attempts, this whole so-called stable coin space, people have tried to come up with something that's more stable, shall we say, and reliable than Bitcoin. But the way to go, and the geeks who've been involved in the cryptos just don't understand money very well, or the history of money. What you should do is establish a private currency board that would issue a liability, and that issue would be a currency, and that currency board currency would be backed 100% with some anchor asset, and that anchor asset could be another currency like the US dollar, or it could be gold. You could have a gold currency board, and the money or liability issued by the currency board would trade at a fixed exchange rate and be freely convertible to whatever the anchor happened to be. So if it was a gold-backed currency board, you would have the unit of gold that was in the currency being issued. That's a liability, and that would be a clone of a unit of gold. Or you could have a dollar backed, and that would be the currency being issued by the currency board would be a clone of the US dollar or the Swiss franc.